Okay, just finished that cut, and it looks like I might have overcut it a little bit, but that's alright, I'll be okay with that. I don't plan on using this thing to cut 1-inch strips anyway. So that's done. I just need to get busy and make these two pieces, and then I'll come back. So this piece here, I've only got, I've just got it screwed in there, no glue yet, so I can take that apart. Bushing is installed, and I'm not going to worry about using any epoxy or anything on it like that, because it's going to be captured by a washer and the knob on the other side here, so it'll never come out, and I won't have to be, you know, there's no stress on it, so it doesn't have to be locked down or anything. But now that I have that in there, I'm going to use that as my guide here. I'm just going to take a 1/4-inch transfer punch and grab a hammer here. Just a little light tap. And then, before I take this off, I'm going to mark this for width when I go to cut it. And then I'll also cut it down, you know, maybe 1 inch on either side of the hole here. I'll take my center line and determine those cuts as well. Made one test here to make sure this was going to work for me. This is a 3/8 hole, same size. You can't see it now, you can. This is a 3/8 hole all the way through, same size as my bushing. So I've got a perfect match here. But what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to just press it in, and I'm going to take this fully threaded bolt here with a couple of washers on the back side, thread the nut down, and hopefully you can see that there's just these little tiny gaps around the bolt, or not the bolt, the nut. And the difference between a 3/875 hole and corner to corner here is about 40 thousandths. So that works out pretty well. I think that's gonna, this thing's not gonna move once it gets going. I got to get a wrench on this, it looks like, otherwise it's going to spin on me, or tap it in like I did before. Hang on a second. Alright, I'm just going to give this a couple of little love taps here while I oh, it's not spinning. Alright, just a couple more turns here, get it below the surface a little bit. That'll work out just fine. I'm going to use one of my runners here as a spacer. It's going to be perfect. So if I put this in here, you can see, even if I use this thick washer here, I'll have clearance. And like I say, by the time I get to this point, it's I won't be using the jig anyway. So that'll be just fine. So I'm going to put some glue on the bottom of this, run my bolt in here, and then clamp it down. It still seems to thread pretty well. We'll let that sit. And then we'll come back and take her apart and put the drive knob in there. And then I'm going to cut this a little shorter, I believe, before I glue that on. And you see I have this adjusting knob in place. The one thing I did have to do in order to do that is take the bolt out. Otherwise, I don't have enough adjustment to, that slot's not open. So I'll put these back in. We'll do a little dry fit here. Run this up. Oh yeah. That's nice. Now I can put the bolt in. That is smooth. I've got just a little bit of play there. That's better. Yeah, that's good. And then when I get to bottomed out here, see if I've got room there. That's perfect. Spacing is just perfect. So I'll glue the runners in place first. That's not going to take much. And then just trim those back at that same angle. Just to dress it up a little bit, I guess. And the other thing that'll do for me is it'll give me exact flush fits here. Okay, here's the difference between reality and my computer generated model. This tip of this indicator is right on the edge. It works fine, but I'm gonna take and move this in 1/8 of an inch. So that's one more change I'm gonna make. But the thing just works beautifully. I mean, it locks in the miter gauge, and you cannot move that thing. And it's just rock solid. When I tighten that down, there's just no movement here at all. So adjusting the jig is, it's just silky smooth. It just works great. I had to make a couple other changes as well. And I don't know why this happened, but this, I had to change this to 1/4 of an inch instead of 1/8. And then I had to take my slot and widen that out this way so that I could reach my 0 point there. Otherwise it wouldn't go. I would have been my slot would have been too short. So I'm not sure what happened there. I know I made some changes on the fly when I was building this, so somewhere along the line, 1/8 inch here and 1/8 inch there doubled into 1/4 inch up here. So, but it still works fantastic. So that's the good news. Let me change this slot right here underneath here by 1/8, and then we'll come back. Okay, everything worked out terrific. So you can see, I want to show you this while I've got it apart so that you can get an idea what the components are here. This is the base, I guess, and the miter slot runner, and it's nothing more than a flathead bolt. And this is a 1/4 inch hole here, 1/4" through hole there, countersunk. I did both of those holes before I cut the slot, but you can see even when I push up on that bolt, what it does to that, it just wants to open it right up. So this remains closed down here because it's wedged, but when you fatten up the middle, that's what locks it into your miter slot. So my 1/4" through hole, that for my bolt here, and like I said, that's nothing more than just a through hole, and it's mortised out for the head of that bolt, like so. That keeps it in place and doesn't allow it to pivot or turn. So that fits into the miter slot like that. The one thing that I was going to do in my drawing that I made upstairs on my computer was this was going to be cut flush to the table. Yeah, it would look nicer, I suppose, but I didn't do it, and it hasn't affected the ability of this thing to work. So then the top plate with the dial indicator on it, you saw me glue this in place, 1/4" coupling nut wedged into that 3/8 hole, my slot, adjusting slot, and the one thing here that I'll show you is this is a 1/4" bolt, but what I've got here is a lock washer in between a washer and the bearing, and that lock washer locks that inner race, but it still allows the outer race to pivot, not pivot, turn, roll. So that worked out really well. And then this is just a 1/4" nylock nut, tightened down on that. So if we put it back together here, I got to take my bolt out. That doesn't work. And that has to come in after the slot comes over that hole. So we'll just thread it together. Right there, I can put this in now. My washer and my locking knob, and there she be. So you can see right there, that's where she wants to start at 0, right there. And that's pretty much zeroed out on my blade as well. Now I can put this in here, lock it down, and it's not moving. And once I lock this down, that's just rigid. You hear my insert moving, but this thing just doesn't budge. I mean, maybe 0.5 of an inch, if that. So it's gonna be very, very rigid. When you push against this, it's not moving, and that's what you're gonna register against, is this bearing out here. I don't know anybody that would rip thin pieces of plywood, but I don't really want to ruin a piece of hardwood that I have right now. I don't really have anything else that I can use. But I set my jig from 0 to 250, so I'm going to try and cut a 1/4" piece here. I hope this plywood holds together. We're going to find out together, because this is the first time I'm ever using this jig. So I'm locked, and incidentally, this is another instance where these Jessamine rip guides are going to come in handy. So I don't have to worry about anything except pushing this thing through. So as I bring my board up, you can see it just kisses that bearing and starts to roll, I'm going to leave it right there. Let's make one cut and measure it. I'm going to find my there. I'm not going to complain about that. You have to believe me, that is the absolute first time I've used that thing to try and cut a 1/4 inch thick strip, and I cut it at 252 and a half. 2.5 thousandths over. So let me see if I can adjust it back 2 thousandths, and we'll run it one more time and see what I can do here. What I did was I went this way by about 15 thousandths and then brought it back to reading on my dial 246. I wouldn't complain about that one bit. 251, 250, I'd say that works pretty well. Thanks for watching.